Hey everybody, welcome into Between the Tackles. I am your host, Michaela Renava, alongside Doug Tide and Zach Cox. It may be the off season. You know what? No shortage of excitement here when it comes to football because Doug just planted a very ominous seed in my head, so now I'm going to share it with all of you. Yes. We'll get to why, but first I just want to say he's envisioning a 2019 where football ceases to exist.
Nope, this is fake news. I'm not envisioning this. This is the point he's
come up with. But the real news, the Patriots quarterback situation ranked 7th by Roto World.
Yes.
I find that a little mind-blowing, as Doug put it in a headline, quote unquote, that seems low.
Yes. Pat Daugherty wrote this for Roto World, and I guess I would say that we're kind of Twitter acquaintances, so don't want to blast him too hard for this list, but the whole idea...
Can't burn a buddy, okay?
No, I mean...
we got to keep it real on here.
I'll give him some crap. It's fine,
Right,
because I do think that 7 is way too low for this, because it's a hard system to even try to argue, because what does quarterback situation even mean? And I guess earlier I did say that football could cease to exist in 2019 because 2017 and 2018 should be rated, in my opinion, much higher than anything in the future on this list, because you don't really know what's going to happen in the future. Football could cease to exist. I mean, obviously that's not...
Possibilities are
it's a possibility. Or like, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is number 1. The guy's 34 years old. What if he tears his ACL and is never the same again? So I think that that's why, to me at least, the present future has to be accounted for more. So, I mean, I would almost put Tom Brady and Jimmy Garoppolo number 1 on this list. I can understand why you do have Rodgers higher than him. I can see the argument for having even Russell Wilson higher than Brady and Garoppolo, just because Russell Wilson's a quarterback in his 20s who's playing at a very high level. So there's a lot of uncertainty around Jimmy Garoppolo. Even if Tom Brady plays really well for the next 2-3 years and then Jimmy Garoppolo takes over, you would probably still rather have Russell Wilson, I guess, if we're looking at this at like a 10-year span. But I don't really know what the scope is on this anyway.
I guess that's the thing, is that you do make a good point, is that I guess quarterback situation needs to be less loosely defined.
Right.
Point in case, as with what you just
mentioned.
Case in point.
Point, comma, in case.
Yeah, okay. When I usually, the deja vu, I always say deja vu. It's one of those things, so I guess point.
That's just a name.
Case in point.
Dave Ajou.
That's a
what
French
was my
name.
point? I had a really good point. That was actually, yes, we saw what happened with Teddy Bridgewater. The Vikings seem to be set up for a lot of success, and that is just flushed down the toilet because he got hurt.
Yes.
Which isn't funny. I'm just having some trouble with the English language today. But yes, because when I read this, that was what was initially confusing to me, is when I read this list. When you think about it, the Patriots have 3 what seem to be solid quarterbacks. They're not all Tom Brady.
No.
So.
But who is?
Exactly.
I think that's the point, though. The Patriots might have the best quarterback, the best starting quarterback, and the best backup quarterback in the NFL. I mean, maybe that's not number 1. Maybe you still, like you said, put Rodgers in there. He's younger. He theoretically has more years in the tank. But I mean, I can't get too worked up about off-season power rankings lists from random outlets. Not that Roto World is random. It's a very reputable thing, but it's, I don't know. I don't care all that much. I did say, was it last year? What were the rankings in the past? They said the Patriots were 6th last year,
6th last year, and 9th
year before. So apparently they just don't feel don't think too highly of Tom Brady and Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well,
apparently
that's kind of telling. I think that the Patriots were 9th back in 2015. And now they're rising in the ranks. Tom Brady continues to get better. So until I actually see him take a drop off, then I think they should at least be the top 5, because I'm looking through the list right now. Like I said before, I could see Rodgers and Wilson just because they're young quarterbacks who are extremely proven, Pro Bowl, All-Pro, elite quarterbacks. Once you get down even to Andrew Luck, I'm not sure if I would want to put him above Brady and Garoppolo, just because he has been injured in the past. He hasn't been he hasn't lived up to the hype. I think
that's the one that really got me when I read this. I was like,
well, the one that really got me was Jameis Winston, because he's thrown more interceptions
Mm-hmm.
than he's played in games in his first 2 seasons. So to me, you can't rank him above Tom Brady and Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, granted, as a sure thing, you'd probably have Jameis Winston over Jimmy Garoppolo just because you know what you're getting out of him more. But when you throw Tom Brady in the mix, but Luck, I don't know. He's still living off the hype of being the number 1 overall pick, and he's a good quarterback, great quarterback, whatever. But I mean, he's had some crap seasons for a guy who's supposed to be the second coming of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it hasn't helped him that the Colts offensive line is traditionally trash.
Right.
But he hasn't really helped himself out either.
Yeah.
So he's definitely, I wouldn't have an issue putting him top 5, but I don't think I would put him ahead of New England.
I can see, I honestly, I feel like I can see Rodgers. That's about it. Going into 17, I could see Carr, but now there's the uncertainty of coming off the injury.
You say quarterback situation, he got hurt, and then the team literally imploded on itself.
Right.
So their quarterback might have been really good, but maybe their quarterback situation wasn't particularly good. It's hard. Do you include like insurance in that equation of your backup being able to kind of fill in and not have there be a huge drop off? So it's
See, that's what I interpreted when I first saw it. I thought, okay, they're taking into account backups.
But he barely even mentions them in here, other than
that's
Garoppolo.
What's very confusing about it. It's because if you're going right into 2017, I would say ask yourself, who do you want quarterbacking your team? How is it not Tom Brady? I get it. They make the point of the 40s and the cliff and how it happens fast, but as you said, they're rising. There's been no indication of that with Tom Brady.
I would say that as part of this system, it seems like Pat believes that Jimmy Garoppolo will at some point depart the Patriots, whether it's after this season in a trade or just letting him leave, or after franchising and letting him leave in 2019. But that really doesn't seem to be the sense as far as Adam Schefter is concerned. And at this point, you kind of have to trust Adam Schefter about anything related to Jimmy Garoppolo, because he was right in that they didn't trade him this offseason. So I think that as part of this list, you have to think that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be here for the long haul. And I mean, Matt Ryan, I can barely even see that one, because heading into 2017 or heading into 2016, he was thought of as kind of a above average quarterback. I mean, even now, the question is Matt Ryan elite is kind of still a question, because Kyle Shanahan isn't there anymore, and we'll see how he does under Sarkisian now as the offensive coordinator. But he could take a step down this season, and then looking at Matt Ryan over Tom Brady will look, I don't know, I mean, you just beat him in the Super Bowl. So
I feel like this is case in point what we talk about with having trouble finding stuff to really analyze in the off season. So
no, it's exciting, remember?
We can make anything exciting, with the right attitude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'll get exciting next week.
What did we debate in March or February?
God,
we're not going back to overtime, overtime rules.
No, what hill was I dying on?
Jumping over the offensive
Jumping over the line, yep.
That was a dark time in the between the tackles.
But that was one of the most scintillating debates I think we've had
that is one word
in
for
this
it.
studio.
Agree to disagree.
Well, let's look at another ranking here.
Yes.
Ike Taylor seems to think that Stephon Gilmore and Malcolm Butler are only the 5th best cornerback tandem. I'm telling you guys, my allergies are really bad. I don't know if that's it, but I'm having trouble getting the words out today. Yeah, what did they say?
The pollen's in the brain?
Yeah, it's everything's just, I'm a little
the
clouded.
nose,
It's not claret and clear. Just everything's a little foggy. But I'm there. I'm here. We're arriving. Anyway, what do you think about that ranking? Cornerback, which is I failed to correct myself. Quarterback,
yes.
Cornerback tandem.
Ike Taylor knows a lot about cornerbacks, but A.J. Bouye and Jalen Ramsey being number 1 is a stretch to me. I think that you have to have
And he ranked them number 1.
Yeah. Right, that's what I said. Yeah, you have to have Aqib Talib and Chris Harris number 1. I think until Aqib Talib actually takes a step back and drops off a little bit. I mean, one of those guys is probably the best cornerback in the NFL. They might be 1 and 2, really, because They are quite fantastic. They both have their strengths, and they complement each other well because Talib is that big guy who can cover the big receivers. Chris Harris is that speedy, shifty guy who can cover the slot type. So I'd probably put them number 1. I would have had the Patriots higher than 5 probably, but I don't know. I mean, we'll see how they do together because Stephon Gilmore was a little bit inconsistent last year. I think even Malcolm Butler was a little bit inconsistent last year, but they're both Pro Bowl players. They're both All-Pro players. So I would have them over, say, Janoris Jenkins and Eli Apple. Might even have them over Jason Verrett and Casey Hayward just because they're younger than Hayward is, and I think that they do have more promise there in the defense there. Actually, Hayward might only be a year older than Butler, but still, point stands.
No, I agree. I'm intrigued to see how they fit together on the field because I think after the Gilmore signing, everybody shifted their narrative on Gilmore to being he is one of the best cornerbacks in the league. Before he signed with the Patriots, we were giving him a decent amount of crap for his play last season. I mean, he was a Pro Bowler, but we saw against the Patriots. I mean, he had a couple just misses. Everybody remembers the one where Chris Hogan ran straight past him, and then he was complaining to his teammates before he even got into the end zone. So he has had plays like that. He is not a Darrelle Revis circa like 2011. He's not a sure thing, is what I would say. And the Patriots are paying him a lot of money to be a sure thing. Yeah. And Malcolm Butler, I guess, is closer to a sure thing because we've seen what he can do in the Patriots system. But yeah, I'm going to reserve judgment until we see these guys play together on the field.
I feel like that's a big part of it is that how can you really rank a tandem because a lot of that just has to do with how well they do together, not as individual players.
I guess. I mean, I think you can rank them individually before the season. But yeah, I'd like to see how they. And I think both of them will do extremely well this year just based on how the Patriots defense is constructed. One of those guys is going to have help from Devin McCourty on every play. So that's going to make that player a lot better than if he's just out there on an island by himself. And the matchups will really dictate who gets McCourty on each play because if Stephon Gilmore's covering Julio Jones this season, then yeah, you're going to have McCourty over the top, and then Malcolm Butler's probably going to do a pretty good job on a guy like Mohamed Sanu or whoever he's going to be covering in that situation. So whoever the best receiver is, probably going to be double teamed, so I don't think that we're going to see those 200-yard games that we never really see out of wide receivers against the Patriots.
Yeah, having Devin McCourty over the top definitely helps any Patriots
and Harmon
quarterback. Yep, and Harmon, and then you got Patrick Chung down in the slot.
Yeah.
This is going to be a very good Patriots secondary, as we've talked about throughout this offseason.
The Steelers have bolstered their secondary, as they have seen that defense does arguably win championships, pointing out that the past few Super Bowl winners have had solid defenses and especially secondaries.
More specifically, they've had most of the Super Bowl contenders last year played well in man coverage. The Steelers played primarily in zone coverage, which worked to an extent. I mean, they allowed 30 total points in the first 2 playoff games, really shut down the Dolphins and the Chiefs. Then they played the Patriots and got just run off the field. I mean, we all watched that game. I think we were all there for that game. You saw Chris Hogan just settle down into the seams in those zones, and there was no Steelers player within like 35 yards of him. It was crazy. Yeah, I mean, he set the Patriots postseason record for receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. They torched him in that game. And Artie Burns, the second-year Steelers cornerback, was talking with reporters down at Steelers OTAs yesterday, and he was saying, "Yeah, we're shifting to a much more man-heavy defense because we've realized. I mean, he said that game taught us that we can't expect to play zone and compete with the top offenses in this league because guys like Tom Brady, receivers like the Patriots have, they're too good at recognizing the seams and the holes and all that, and just picking you apart." So. I mean, if you got to have the personnel to do it. It's not like you can't play man unless you have cornerbacks who can play man. Right. But it's something that they're going to have to do if they want to get over the hump in the AFC here.
So what do you guys think of the additions that they have made to their secondary?
Yeah, they added what? Cam Sutton, and then who they have at safety now? They have
Cam Sutton and Brian Allen.
They brought in Cody Sensabaugh. It was more of, they didn't really bring in superstars. It was more trying to fit what they're trying to do. They brought in guys who have either experience playing press man coverage or guys who they think have the potential to. I've heard good things about Cam Sutton, their rookie cornerback. Artie Burns had a decent season as a rookie. He should take a step forward. But
William Gay had a decent season last year, yeah.
And then it's just kind of funny, though, how I guess that's what you have to do. Teams are building their defense to beat the Patriots, basically,
yeah.
which is what teams in the AFC East have been doing for a while. You saw how
it's worked so well.
Well, you saw how the first round draft picks of all 3 AFC East teams were defensive players, were secondary players. So every team is just bolstering up, and they're going to have to. I mean, the Patriots receiving core and their offensive weapons were nasty last year, and then they had Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, so the Steelers have made these moves to try to get better in their secondary, but then we saw what happened in the AFC Championship game, and now add Brandon Cooks.
And
add a healthy Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah.
Do you think that what they've done
we'll see? I mean,
be a threat to the Patriots?
It's so early. I mean, I think the Steelers are always in the mix for the most part. But it's hard to look at anybody in the AFC right now and find a clear competitor, even a clear number 2 to the Patriots right now. Maybe you can look over in the NFC, see sure the Falcons will still be pretty good. Packers are always pretty good. They've got some talent in that conference, but the AFC it looks like Patriots.
So you're saying the Jets aren't going to bring?
Oh, I forgot about the Jets. The Jets are my Super Bowl favorites. Sorry about that.
Good segue there. Good segue.
Yeah, let's talk about the Jets. I think they're going to be laughably and historically bad.
Yeah.
They've been laughably bad already.
Yeah,
so
but this year is like
level of
this is a new level.
Hysterics.
In that rankings that we were talking about earlier, the quarterback rankings, they were dead last. And it's difficult to argue with that because their starting quarterback's probably going to be Josh McCown, who'll probably stay healthy for about 4 games, as he usually does, before he inevitably gets injured again. He's a 37-year-old quarterback who can't stay healthy. Then they've got Christian Hackenberg and Bryce Petty behind him. Bryce Petty was so bad last year that I'm almost surprised that they brought him back. Christian Hackenberg was so bad last year that they didn't even let him play. They continued to trot out Ryan Fitzpatrick, Geno Smith, and Bryce Petty rather than to even showcase Christian Hackenberg.
A guy who they drafted in the 2nd round last
year.
Yeah.
And then they didn't draft anyone this year, so they're still counting apparently on either Hackenberg or Bryce Petty to be that future at quarterback. Otherwise, this season, they made a lot of other moves that really almost makes you wonder if they're tanking completely. They got rid of Brandon Marshall. They got rid of, who else did they get rid of? They got rid of Nick Mangold. Darrelle Revis. I mean, Nick Mangold and Darrelle Revis aren't picked up yet, but, I mean, they would probably be better than whoever they're trying to replace them with.
They got rid of
Marshall
pretty much
is a good player.
Yeah, they just traded Calvin Pryor earlier today or yesterday. They pretty much got rid of almost every recognizable name on their roster.
Right.
I mean, they still have some on that defensive line with Wilkerson and Sheldon Richardson, who might be on his way out. I think he's still with the team right there right now, I think.
Yes, but they're always trying to trade him.
There's been all sorts of drama in there. Yeah, this team is an absolute mess right now.
Yes. Yeah, it's almost tough to, other than those 3 guys, the Sheldon Richardson, Muhammad Wilkerson, and Leonard Williams, it's really kind of tough to find a good player on this roster. I don't know. I mean, I'm not looking that closely. I like Quincy Enunwa. Yeah. He's a good player.
I don't know if he's a starting wide receiver, but he would be. He had a good game against the Patriots last year. He
beat Malcolm Butler pretty well out there.
Would you go so far as to say you think that this could be a no-win season for them?
It could be. It really could be. This is a horrible roster. It is absolutely terrible.
Yeah, this roster really kind of resembles what the 49ers had last year. When you look at it and you're just like, man, who plays on this team? There's nobody decent on this roster.
No. Because even a guy like Matt Forte, I mean, he's in the last years of his career. Yeah. How motivated is he going to be when Christian Hackenberg is handing the ball off to him in week 5? I mean, it's a tough situation here.
So if this season's a wash, would you bet that they are trying to tank, or do you? I guess what's the future for them? You know, do you see upper level moves?
It looks like they kind of. I mean, you have to say that they're planning for 2018 because they had a ton of needs coming into this offseason. Mm-hmm. They didn't really address any of them. They did get Jamal Adams in the draft, who I think is going to be pretty good. Yeah. But they didn't address their offense at all. They still have a bag of crap at quarterback. No offense to Christian Hackenberg and whoever else happens to be playing there. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, you got to think, I guess they just didn't like any of the quarterback prospects in this draft, and they know that they're not going to be that good this year, even if they scooped up I mean, they did scoop up Josh McCown. That's basically what they did. So maybe they're trying to nab their franchise savior at the top of the draft next year. But it's
I think they'd refer to it as a rebuild rather than a tanking situation. But
you don't see a full tank often in the NFL.
Yeah. No, because that's the way you kind of get hurt, I think.
Yeah.
When you're tanking, but no, I mean, I don't think that their Todd Bowles is really the savior there at head coach either. He could be on his way out soon. That was going to be my question.
You think he's on his way out, or
probably? He's a guy who I just can't stand even like hearing him talk or like the conference calls that we do with him, seeing him on press conferences. It's just so uninspiring, and he's like kind of sarcastic or like. I don't know. He's got this kind of attitude.
Sneaky condescending.
Yeah, a little condescending. And you're like, dude, like your team is terrible every year. Like maybe don't be so condescending. I don't know. Yeah.
He's very even-keeled, mellow kind of.
He is. He has
I say shake things up, bring back Rex Ryan.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Tebow. I'd go for both.
Do both.
Yeah.
Player coach.
Do both.
Player coach.
Yeah, absolutely. That could be the answer.
I mean,
it would be interesting.
Mets,
make for
Jets.
much better conference calls.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, there is that.
Yes.
Let's end on some Patriots talk because James White has moved on from his big shining Super Bowl moment. You guys heard from him yesterday. What did he have to say?
Yeah.
He had to say nobody cares about that anymore when asked about his. Obviously, it was the best game of his career, one of the best performances in Super Bowl history. Scored the winning touchdown in overtime. Then he went on his whole media tour. He did the Disney World, did Conan, did all those. We asked him about it yesterday. He's like, yeah, no, I'm done with that. Like we're moving on. He's got full Patriots mode, focused forward. But I thought his interesting comments were about his contract extension. I don't think many of us expected him to get a contract extension this offseason. And he said even he didn't. He was surprised by it. He didn't initiate any negotiations. The Patriots just came up to him and said, hey, would you like this contract extension? He says, all right, yeah, cool, let's do it. So yeah,
do you have a transcript of that?
That was verbatim.
Yeah,
word for word.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, it just shows that the Patriots really value him as an important piece in this offense going forward, even after adding. Well, did he sign the contract after or the extension? It all kind of happened at the same time. But as they were adding Rex Burkhead and Mike Gillislee, it shows that they still view James White as a very important piece.
And for him, I think it was, it's easy to make the argument like, oh, if he signed after 2017, maybe he could have even got a bigger contract. But I don't know if he can really improve over his 2016 season. Even if he does, I don't think his value would increase that much because he's a pure pass-catching back. He's not going to get 20 carries a game. He's barely even going to get 5 carries a game. So I think what we saw last year, 60 catches, 550 yards, 5 touchdowns, that's what you expect from him moving forward. That's what the Patriots will expect from him moving forward. Smart for the Patriots because they finally have that third down back here for the long haul again, like they did with Kevin Falk. They went through some phases with Danny Woodhead and Shane Vereen for a while that just didn't last that long. So now you've got that guy who maybe can even bridge the gap between Brady and Garoppolo. It's such an important piece in the offense that I think it was good for both sides.
And he is in a crowded Patriots backfield. Doug, I liked your opening line of your piece on this, that Bill Belichick's good point, not making life easy for fantasy football owners, coaches, experts out there because of the uncertainty of what they'll do with all these pieces.
Yeah, I mean, for James White, maybe you draft him in a point per reception league because he's going to get those catches, but I mean, other than that, who knows whether Mike Gillislee or Deion Lewis or Rex Burkhead is going to get the most carries per game. I will say that I did find one kind of interesting stat from last year is that James White's fewest snaps the 2 games that he had the fewest snaps both came against the Houston Texans. So if you are in a PPR league and the Patriots do play the Texans this year, don't start James White because he's probably only going to get like 12 snaps.
Inside info.
Yeah.
I like it.
In the playoff game against the Texans, I believe he actually only played 12 snaps. Then in the Super Bowl, he played 71. So even with James White, you don't really know how many snaps or carries or touches he's going to get on a game-by-game basis.
Yeah, I think
if you played Deion Lewis against the Texans, then in that playoff game.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the case where you could see a guy like Mike Gillislee get 25, 30 carries one week and then 6 the next week.
Right.
This team is going to drive fantasy owners crazy from the running back spot because how often the Patriots change. The Patriots have a basically different game plan going into each week and really a whole different offensive strategy. Yeah. So I can see these guys, like I can see any of these 4 running backs being a big factor in one game and then really taking a backseat the next week. And it's going to be kind of hard to predict who that's going to be going into each game.
All right, well, once again, Patriots have a good situation on their hands this offseason.
Per usual.
Before we sign off, do you guys have any final closing thoughts?
I thought it was interesting that Joe Banner said that quarterbacks hate Bill O'Brien. I thought that was an interesting little nugget. And it could play into the fact that, Bill O'Brien coached Tom Brady for a bunch of years and then he's dealing with guys like Tom Savage and Case Keenum and Ryan Fitzpatrick and Brock Osweiler. So, after you play with the best or after you coach the best, you might get frustrated coaching these other guys. It's like, yeah.
Was his source Ryan Mallett?
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
That is interesting.
Yeah. It's like, if you were a director and you had like Leonardo DiCaprio and then you had like Brendan Fraser, he'd probably be like, why can't this guy do what this other guy was doing? So, yeah.
Fighting an uphill battle.
Yes. Yes.
Minicamp next week. We will be down for all 3 days. I believe it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Is that correct? Down in Foxborough. We'll get to. Won't be full pads, no full contact or anything. Right. Basically the same thing we saw at OTAs last week. But we'll be getting to watch football for 3 straight days rather than talking about what we're talking about right now. So it'll be exciting.
Yes. And my closing thoughts are that spring is my least favorite season, just by far. I got to get that out there. It makes our podcast more difficult to have scintillating analysis, even though we bring it anyway. Allergies just killing me. I need to go get a cough drop. Like, it's brutal.
Spring? Yeah,
wait, spring officially starts.
Great.
Spring starts in March, right?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Because like late winter, the worst time of the year is Super Bowl until like whenever it gets nice out, like early April.
Yeah, it's just the worst.
At least it's nice out right now, but the whole allergy situation is pretty bad this year.
So the sooner OTAs and mini camp gets underway, and
well, someone asked me a mailbag question today. Can we just skip June and start training camp? And to that I say no, because I have a 5-week vacation before training camp that I don't want to skip. But
so listen into the to Between the Tackles over the next couple of weeks, because you might not get much of us for
because nothing happens
literally
from mid-June
to
July.
It's the summer vacation for the people who actually play and work in the NFL. So they don't do anything, so we can't really write about it.
Literally nothing happens.
But then think about there will be all that time. Then when we come back, there's going to be
training
so
camp,
many
full go.
debates. It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
No more allergies.
This was great. Yeah.
Nonetheless.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching. We've had a blast. It's soon to